Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim Awesome Naya. I hope you are good. Majority of you may have heard what is going on in Sudan. And someone said it is almost getting to G-side. And I am saying it is not almost getting to G-side. It is actually G-side going on in Sudan. Since Africans met all these people, we are still where we are. It's like we are running in circle. Nobody's life deserves to be taken. Nobody deserves to die of hunger. Black people, Africans, we deserve peace. UAE, United Arab Emirates, should leave Sudan alone because the evil they are committing there is too much. Why is it not getting media attentions? It is not getting media attentions. Why? Because it is an African country. We do not deserve anything grace. We do not deserve anything good. If you were Russian, Ukraine, Palestine, and all that, UK, United States, Europe, you definitely will see it all over flying. But we do not have that privilege. Free Sudan. Free Haiti. Free all Congo. Free Congo. Let's get into this video.
Over 2,000 Sudanese people were massacred, slaughtered in the first 24 hours since the RSF took Fasher. Among them was the youngest parliamentarian in Sudanese history, Siham Hassan. This is a woman who ran community kitchens in Fasher to make sure that she fed the starving people of the city, and she was assassinated among the people that she served. 5 Sudanese Red Crescent members were killed while they were working to distribute aid nearby as well in Kordofan, and 3 more are missing. There are videos of elderly Sudanese civilians being executed in the dirt. There are videos of young Sudanese civilians being forced to dig their own graves. We are seeing videos, we are hearing news updates of atrocity after atrocity in Sudan, and the grim reality of it is that this doesn't even cover the full scope of the horror for the Sudanese people. Satellite imagery actually reveals massacre after massacre in Fasher. There is so much physical evidence of mass killings. You can see on the satellite images the remnants of violent, bloody attacks. There is evidence of the RSF conducting door-to-door clearance operations. There's evidence of them hunting down and targeting people attempting to flee the city. They are slaughtering everyone. And this mass slaughter has the full support of not only the UAE, who actively funds and arms the RSF, but it has the support of the UK and the US government as well. UK-made arms and military equipment is actively being used to slaughter the Sudanese people right now. These weapons were exported from the UK to the UAE before falling in the hands of RSF militias. And the UK government knew about it. They knew about it, and they continued selling these weapons to the UAE, knowing that they would end up in the hands of RSF militias. The UK government received multiple credible warnings that these arms sales to the UAE could eventually end up in the hands of RSF militiamen in North Sudan, in the North Darfur region, despite there being an active UN Security Council embargo. And they chose to continue this sale to the UAE anyway, knowing that these weapons could be used in genocide. The presence of these weapons in North Darfur is a clear violation of the arms embargo. And while the UK violates that UN resolution, the US is actively choosing to ignore and undermine another by hosting an RSF war criminal in DC right now. Washington is currently hosting RSF commander and war criminal Elgoni Dagalo right now, the man who is responsible for the weapons procurement of the RSF. This is the very man responsible for taking the UK weapons that were sold to the UAE and then transporting them to North Darfur in order to kill and genocide Sudanese civilians. And the US is hosting him in our nation's capital. Thousands of people are dead in Sudan right now, and it's not just the fault of the RSF, it's the fault of the UAE, the UK, the US, and all complicit parties.
And filmed by RSF drones.
And there you have it. It is official. RSF now officially controls Sudan. That means Dubai officially controls Sudan. That means Dubai officially controls all the resources in Sudan, especially the gold. Now watch this.
The United States government is currently hosting a war criminal and a RSF militia leader directly responsible for the genocide against the Sudanese people.
Yes, as I am making this video right now, members of the RSF are in Washington, D.C. to come see our leadership in America. If you don't understand what's going on, let me explain something. Okay, once upon a time, Sudan was a country that had these two groups of people living in the country. You have these guys, and then you have these guys. Well, these guys suddenly decided that they wanted to Arabize their country. They didn't suddenly decide. This was done by the Arabs. The Arabs basically convinced them that they should not share land with these people and their country needs to be Arab only. So funded by Libya and a bunch of other Arab countries, including UAE, they were funded, and this guy, this specific man, was given money and weapons and whatnot, and he created his own military called the Janjaweed. The Janjaweed had one job and one job only: genocide these guys and kick them out of the country so that their country can be all of them just like this. They wanted to create a pure Arab country. So they got their money and they started the war. That's, if you remember the war on Darfur a few years ago, that was it. They succeeded. They genocided these guys and they kicked them out of the country. And eventually, they split the country into two. It became Sudan and South Sudan. These guys are the Sudanese. These guys are now the South Sudanese. The problem is, as soon as the war was over, this guy who was hired to genocide these guys decided, you know what? I can do a better job at ruling the country, and I need to take over the country. So he sets his sights on the people who literally hired him to genocide these guys. That is exactly what's going on. This guy was the leader of the Janjaweed, who was the military in Sudan. The same guys that they're fighting right now, the Sudanese military, were the ones who paid him and helped him create his own military to genocide these guys. After he finished genociding these guys, he now turned around and now he's fighting the same people that created him.
The videos coming out of Sudan today are absolutely horrendous. Videos of mass killings, execution of children, execution of Red Crescent workers, families being tortured, people hanging from trees. It is horrible. If you don't know what's happening in Sudan, a very quick summary. There are two groups fighting for power in Sudan. They're saying it's a civil war, but it's not exactly a civil war. You have the Sudanese armed forces, and then you have the RSF. The RSF is a militia that is backed and funded by the UAE. And you might be asking yourself, well, why is the UAE funding this militia group? That's because the UAE is motivated by two factors: financial and geopolitical. The UAE owns many of the gold mines in Sudan, and as you might know, the UAE is known for their gold, but they don't have a single gold mine. All of their gold comes from Sudan. So the UAE benefits from the RSF having control over the region. It is very much motivated by money and power. And the results of this since April 2023, when the war started, is that Sudan has become one of the world's largest humanitarian crises. More than 14 million Sudanese people have been displaced, and 150,000 Sudanese people have been killed since April of 2023. Every day I think about how I'm going to make a video about something positive or light and not so heavy. And then I see people suffering and purposely being ignored by the media and, of course, the rest of the world. And I think about, if I was in their shoes, I would hope and wish and pray that someone would defend me, someone would protect me, someone would bring light to what is happening to me, to show that what's happening to me and my people mattered, that my life mattered. I don't particularly enjoy talking about suffering all the time. I do it because I literally picture myself in their shoes. And I don't know how people don't. I don't know how you guys just don't ever put yourself in someone else's shoes. If we put ourselves in other people's shoes, so much of the world's suffering would end like tomorrow. Don't speak up for Sudan if you feel obligated or pressured or shamed into speaking up for Sudan. Speak up for Sudan because if you were born in Sudan, you know that you would want someone to speak up for you. That is a fact. All of us know that if we were suffering, we would want someone to come defend us, to protect us, to speak up for us. That is an innate feeling as a human being. And I don't know how so many of you have like just ignored the humanity within you. Our greatest privilege is that we weren't born in a country where there's war and genocide happening. You can use your privilege and speak up for those who cannot speak up right now. You can use your privilege and bring awareness to the suffering of others.
Sudan is bleeding. Guys, the situation in Sudan is getting worse every single day. I don't know whether you guys have seen the videos that are circulating on social media. Like, I can't play them here, but I will just talk about it. Guys, Sudan is bleeding, guys. Sudan is bleeding. This is getting out of hand. Like, civilians are dying for no reason. Like, it is getting out of hand, guys. If you've seen those videos, nah. Everybody deserves peace. Everybody deserves life. Everybody deserves to live. Again, this is getting out of hand. Only those that have seen. If you've not seen, just go and search. See on media what is happening. People being killed like chicken in Sudan. People being killed like chicken in Sudan. When it is affecting Sudan, it's the same thing like in South Sudan. This same country has suffered for years. You understand? Guys, the situation is... Share this video, guys. Share to people. Like, this is getting out of hand. People need peace. People deserve life. They're dying of hunger. They're dying of it's like a genocide that is happening. Let's just say it's a genocide happening in Sudan, guys. The situation is getting worse and worse every day. And the problem is this content is not being pushed out of media. Why? Because it is an African country, right? If it is things happening like in Ukraine, things happening out of in Russia, happening in China, United States, Canada, Europe, it would be flooding media right now. But it's not on media. It's not on media. And you never know. TikTok might even take down my account, or Instagram might take down my account or my video for talking about it. Like, the situation is really getting out of hand. You get? I'm just risking to post about it. You know the reason as to why most influencers don't post about this content? It's because it's very sensitive, and the media is controlled by you understand, and they wouldn't want you to push out content like this, you understand? But this situation is getting worse, guys. We need to pray for Sudan, guys. The situation in Sudan is getting worse.
It's not a civil war, it's a resource grab. The UAE is invading Sudan. It wants Sudanese gold, Sudanese fertile farmland, Sudanese gum Arabic that makes literally everything you can think of. It is ethnically cleansing the black African populations of Western Sudan in places like Darfur. Yes, they are being targeted because according to these barbarians, the more African you are, the more disposable you are. That's their thought process. We are living in a plague of this country called the UAE. This Dubai chocolate plague. We are existing in hell. And no self-respecting person should set foot as a tourist in this country. Reject everything they offer you. This same country is perpetrating the same exact method of planned genocide in places like the DRC. They have bought up mines. There's a tin mine in eastern DRC, the largest tin mine in the world. They have bought it as recently as June 2025. They have control over it. They have no real resources in their country. They have bought up strategic ports all over, up and down the African continent. African leadership has completely failed us. The continent's leadership has completely failed us. We as the people, it looks like we're by ourselves. Hemeti's brother apparently is waltzing around in Washington, D.C. Boycott the Waldorf Astoria and all of its related properties. Just whatever we can do. Because at this point,
the RSF captured El Fasher, a city in Sudan, and they are now executing countless civilians and forcing starving people to flee through the desert using their last bits of strength just to stay alive. The scale of the atrocities is so great that satellite imagery has been picking up trails of blood. You can literally see the blood from space. That's how many people are being killed and wounded. The fall of Al Fasher after an 18-month siege and months of starvation marks essentially the RSF's complete control over the Darfur region. The RSF is funded by the UAE, which is fueling this civil war because the UAE profits a lot off of the exploitation of Sudan's gold and arable land. And the people of Sudan, who have to suffer one of the world's largest humanitarian crises, who have been tortured, exploited, ethnically cleansed, and executed among many, many other crimes, they're not even considered when these large imperial powers play with people's lives in order to make themselves richer. The UAE and every entity complicit in this slaughter must be held accountable. Can't ignore what's happening in Sudan. African lives are not disposable.
The images coming out of Sudan right now may seem unthinkable, but this is literally just a repeat of the Darfur genocide in the early 2000s. And the UAE-backed RSF militia hunted down civilians, especially women and children, and killed them. One of those people was Siham Hassan, Sudan's youngest former parliamentarian, and she literally worked in the community kitchens to help people in need during the war, and was murdered. And along with summary executions, there are also reports of civilian detentions and attacks on infrastructure and hospitals. And all of this caused the RSF to capture the city of Fasher, which was under an 18-month siege. And before the siege, this was the Sudanese army's last stronghold in the Darfur region, and one of the few places where there was still access to aid. And it may seem like you can't do anything, and it may seem like it is extremely overwhelming, but this is untrue. And you can still share information, and you can still boycott companies and institutions tied to the UAE. Companies you should already boycotting, like Coca-Cola and Nestle.
Massacres in Sudan are so horrific that you can see the blood trails from satellite. Satellite imagery has picked up blood trails because there has been a mass execution of civilians. Fasher has fallen to the RSF, which is backed by the UAE. The UK has been suppressing any criticism of the fact that it is backed and supported by the UAE. RSF forces went door to door, executing civilians, dragging them from their home, asking men if they are soldiers before executing them in public. And the blood trails are from civilians trying to flee. Regular people, regular families trying to flee. Satellite imagery over Fasher shows reddish, brownish colouring on the ground outside doors from the mass executions. And it is estimated that hundreds have been killed, if not in the thousands, over the course of a few days in one specific area. And it should come as a surprise to no one that Israel is one of the main suppliers of arms to the UAE, who is the main backer of the RSF.
The city El Fasher in the North Darfur region of Sudan has fallen to the RSF forces. And this is something that we wished would never happen. We were hoping and praying, and it's something I've talked about on this page quite often. But recently the news has come across that the RSF has taken control of those headquarters. Every day, the atrocities committed against civilians gets worse and worse, and I can't put into words what seeing some of this is genuinely, it's so horrific. There was a video going around on Instagram of a man who had been hung by his hands, but they were backwards on the tree, which is a way of slowly ripping your shoulder blades off. And he was screaming in pain, and then these militia forces are just filming and laughing. And I've genuinely never seen something so horrific. I think I saw that about a week ago, and I wake up thinking about it, and I go to bed thinking about it. They are also facing some of the worst sexual violence that anyone has seen. And of course, it's been branded as the worst humanitarian crisis ever. I think I'm just really angry. I come across as calm I'm like tearing up. I'm trying not to cry right now. But I genuinely don't understand how people do this to other people. And I think one of the things that also aggravates me is like I can't help everyone. And it's like you wish so bad you could go and just save all of these innocent people and civilians who are just going through such horrific atrocities in the name of what? Power? Money? I'm gonna list some organizations that you can donate to. Please talk about what's going on in Sudan. Please talk about Congo, Palestine. They need our voices.
Things that they're doing to women in Sudan is absolutely disgusting. The more I'm reading about this, a 1-year-old child was raped. 1-year-old, a baby. The armed forces will come to villages in Sudan and they'll knock on the door during the evening time with a whip in their hand or a weapon. And they will select the girls that they want and they'll take the girls to another room and grape them all night until they're unconscious. Some girls would get raped and when they returned back into their homes, they would be covered in blood. And these women have not just been raped by the male bodily parts, but they'd be raped by guns, by knives, by foreign objects. And some of these girls are raped in front of their parents, in front of their loved ones, in front of their brothers, in front of their fathers. Some of the survivors have said that they have seen children, babies, being raped to death. These armed forces would then dump the bodies of these children. And I've said this before, you barely hear anything about what's happening in Sudan. It's so quiet. And I saw this interview with this woman that said that she doesn't even have time to be depressed about what's happened to her. She was gang raped by all of these armed men in the most disgusting and humiliating ways. And she hasn't had the chance to sit down and even process what happened to her because she's constantly on her feet trying to survive this situation. The stories that I've been telling you guys isn't even the full picture of what's truly going on there. And they're getting no help from anyone. They don't have a voice. At one point, I had to pause myself and stop reading these articles because my mind was spiraling. Like I felt like I was gonna go crazy. And it just needs to be talked about more. I don't see it anywhere. I'll see it once every maybe like 50 swipes on my social media.
So the Joint Forces in Sudan issued a statement that said the UAE-backed militia, the RSF, has killed over 2,000 civilians in the city of El Fasher in the last 48 hours. Literally, what do you mean? This is absolutely barbaric and crazy. The city of El Fasher just fell to the RSF after being under siege for well over a year. Famine confirmed. Torture has been spoken about. A lot of gender-based violence, a lot of really horrific war crimes happening for the last year have continued with impunity. And now they have taken over all of El Fasher. And they have killed over 2,000 civilians in horrible and horrific ways. I mean, I've seen crazy videos out of El Fasher. I've seen videos of people being tortured. I've seen videos of people being forced to bury themselves alive. Like, I've seen crazy fucking shit. And it's just so devastating to see. We have to keep all eyes on Sudan. We have to talk about this.
Whatever you're doing, please stop scrolling because what I'm about to say is extremely important. What is going on in Sudan is absolutely horrific, and Sudan needs your attention now more than ever before. We have to do everything we can to stop the current genocide that is being conducted in Sudan. The fourth biggest region in Sudan, known as Al Fasher, was recently captured by the RSF and other Janjaweed militia groups. Since then, these militia groups have been conducting the most inhumane and unbearable attacks that are targeted towards civilians on the basis of ethnicity. I'm very much disturbed by the accounts of the many videos that are circulating right now. Complacency is absolutely not an option. If you are from the US, please go to house.gov or senate.gov. Then you can enter your zip code to find your senators or representatives. Input every single relevant and necessary information. Then you will be directed to the contact information of your senator or congressperson. And it's extremely important to use this opportunity to let them know about your concerns in regards to what is happening in Sudan. Contacting your representatives, calling is the most effective method. You can demand sanctions and discontinuation of arms sales to the UAE unless the administration certifies non-support to the RSF. You can demand the sanctions to be expanded to every node funding the RSF right now. You can demand a push to the UN to expand Darfur's arms embargo nationwide. Lastly, you can demand the invocation of Article 8.
This is all I got from this video. It is, he said, it's like G-side. No, it is actually G-side going on in Sudan. United Arab Emirates and all their sponsors and all the people around it, United Kingdom, United States. I don't actually know what Africans have done to you people. You said we are third world countries. And we said, okay, we've been pushing it. We've been fighting hard. We've been working hard. Doing all every other human beings could do to help himself or herself. But still, there is no peace. There is no unity. There is hunger. Let me tell us something as people. If there is anything every human being in this world deserves, is nothing but peace. Enough of war. We wake up every day to different stories. Stories that are not kind. People are being unalive. Why? Because they want to take people's resources, just resources. Just because of resources, just because of gold, that you are unaliving people and making people go hungry just because of gold. Please, nobody should tell me I know gold is money. I am not illiterate. But how much are you going to get from all these golds? I know a lot of money that will supersede people's life. Each time we talk about people's life, it looks like people's life do not even matter anymore. That is how bad it is. Human sympathy, empathy, all of it are no more. People are going hungry on daily basis. Some people are going to United Arab Emirates every year for vacation. People are going every year for vacation. Going to enjoy people's, because what they use in building their country is nothing but people's sweat and blood. We don't talk about Arab slavery a lot or enough. We don't talk about how the country is built on people's back. Slavery, modern day slavery, it's still going on there. People are being honored. And like Yaga said, it is not getting enough media attention. Why? Because it's African country. Why should it get attention? It is not Palestine. It is not Ukraine. It is not Russia and other countries. Because their lives are more precious. Their life is more important than your life. That's why you don't get to see, you don't get to hear it. I want you all to know that some countries can actually not stand if not for African countries. They feed off African countries and they say it's a modern world, and they sit back where they are and they throw shades at us. They say we are uncultured. They said we are this, we are that. But you are alive. You have those technologies. Most of those beautiful things you have are from us. We haven't done anything to you people. Even after being colonized by other countries and all that, we still are fighting to survive. Your presence is still in our countries. Let Sudan rest. Let other African countries rest. They deserve rest. They deserve peace. They deserve harmony. They do not deserve to go hungry. Bye for now.